Got it. Okay. Hey, everybody. Happy fall. Hey, everybody who's here, go get some snack if you want. It's a fall stew that's kind of like ratatouille, but it's got lots of fall vegetables in it. But the difference is you roast the vegetables first. And I will apologize because I got on the phone with my mom when I was doing this last night and totally lost track of time. So they got a little overcooked. But then you stick your whole pan in the oven and let it cook for 40 minutes. So it's a one pot dish. Help yourself to go get some snack over there if you want. It's couscous and a little what? Oh, you were worthy. So I love fall. Does anybody love fall besides me? Oh, I love fall too, but I do love fall. Anybody love fall? I see a yes. Okay, why do you love fall? The weather. Okay, not scorching hot. I love that too. Anybody out there telling me what you love? Leaves. I love the leaves. I love raking. I love, I'm not really much of a yard worker, but I love raking leaves. Yeah, it's fun. And you have to pick them up because the next wind's going to take them. I love that. What else do we love about fall? Pumpkin spice. Everybody loves the pumpkin spice. I know, it's just like spices, but yeah, there's no pumpkin in it, which is funny. So we got football. We got probably a World Series coming up. That's kind of fallish. Although I've not watched any baseball this year, so I don't even know who is a contender. Yeah, playoffs start today. Oh, okay, good. All right. Apple Hill. Anybody love Apple Hill? Yeah, I love Apple Hill. Uh-huh. So then today we're going to talk about fall foods. And that was one thing I really love about living here that I don't think in other places I've lived, I've noticed it as much. But in the summer, starting in the spring, like around Easter, you get the strawberry stands, at least out in Placer County, you get the strawberry stands. And then for a while, you get the cherries when they're in season. And then you get the peaches and nectarines when they're coming in. And now we're moving into fall. What's your favorite fall fruit or vegetable? Pumpkin, apples, squash, pecans. Okay. All right. I love persimmons. And of course, being from Placer County, we got to love our mandarins because they're the best mandarins ever are the ones in Placer County. So I love this distinction of the seasons, like the strawberry stand now closes and then they start to sell the mandarins and the persimmons. So I love seeing the seasons change. Oh, and I forgot, of course, in the summer, you got the blackberries. So in our area, you can walk around and pick blackberries. You can pick the figs from somebody's tree if they don't mind. So now we're into fall. So let's talk about our fall foods. So welcome, everybody. So I think what I was showing you here is the picture that goes along with my next slide. That will be what the study was, but a recent study that talked about ultra processed foods. And I'll describe what that is in a minute, but an unprocessed food is something like how it grew. Like if I go eat a persimmon, that's an unprocessed food. If I dry it, take the powder of it, and then put that on top of my Cheerios, and my sister just got pumpkin Cheerios, that would be more of an ultra processed food. So what they found out was that people who ate the most ultra processed foods had a higher risk of CVDs, cardiovascular disease, mortality, and mortality is just another word for death. So they took and they divided people up. I'll show you the actual study. And to see who ate like unprocessed, processed, and then ultra processed. And they found that in that group of people who ate more ultra processed foods, they had more mortality. So this was a study that was in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine. So I haven't flashed up a study in a while, but remember when we learned about studies, You want them to be kind of current. You want them to be relevant to you, like people like you. You want them to also have a big number of people that they perform that study on to give it more power. And we want it to be in a journal that we call a peer-reviewed journal, where, you know, it's not in Women's Day. This was in a journal where other scientists are reading it and they could actually replicate the study. So this is a good journal. The N is the number of people in it, 41,000 people. They were from the UK and the US. So more people, somewhat like us. I don't know how they are in the UK, but, you know, US people. They looked at food questionnaires, which in a study isn't always the best way to do it. The best way for a nutrition study is to lock people in a room and feed them, because then you know what they're getting. But those are really expensive. And so this, we got to take you know, them at their word, what they put on the food questionnaire. And, you know, a lot of us tend to fudge our numbers a little bit, like how many fruits and vegetables do you eat? We always round that one up a little bit. And how many minutes do you exercise? We kind of round that one up, you know, so it's, you know, how long did you go? Well, we round that one up too. So you got to take them with a grain of salt. But what they found was that when they looked at people, these people who ate the ultra processed foods had more inflammation, and inflammation what caused the higher risk for cardiovascular disease. They also found that when they looked at liver function, it had the most effect on mortality. So you had liver function tests, they're your ALT when you have your labs done. And so what showed was that when we eat a bunch of processed foods, ultra processed foods, it affects inflammation, which then affects our liver, which then increases our risk of death from cardiovascular disease too. So shredded wheat is more of a processed food. We take wheat like it grows out in the field, and then we do stuff with it that's magic there in the Kellogg's plant or Post or whoever makes shredded wheat. And it comes out, so it's still a high fiber food. It's still really good for us if you're a shredded wheat lover. I am. But it's been processed a bit. It's not like you just went out there and ate wheat berries, which would be a little higher fiber. But if you turn that into cocoa pebbles, now that is an ultra processed food. So it has no look of what it looked like at the beginning. You wouldn't know there was wheat berry in there at all. So usually the UPF, the ultra processed foods, are low in fiber. They're high in added sugar, fat, salt, and calories. Now, in our country, and maybe in the UK too, that's what a lot of us eat. A lot of people, a lot of Americans eat. Would you agree? I mean, not us, of course, but people out there do. Yeah.
Like with sodas, there's a whole lot. That's what people are buying.
That's right. So people are buying these ultra processed foods. There's all the, you know, and a Costco is such a good example too. You've got like 2 huge rows of sodas, and then you have all that processed foods. And of course, the further it gets away from what it was originally, kind of the yummier it can be. So we tend to go that route. But this is just to show another reason to try to eat whole, real foods. So we're promoting a whole food plant-based diet, meaning that even though Cocoa Pebbles might be made from plants because it was made from wheat, it's not really a whole food. We want to eat whole, real foods whenever we can.
Aren't all shredded wheats not equal? Because I used to get the Post, and it had 0 soda.
So that's the best one. So the shredded wheat, the Post shredded wheat, that they don't add any salt. You know, it started out as the biscuit. Remember the big biscuit? And then they made the little bite size. And then they had to add sugar to it. So now you got the frosted shredded wheats. So yeah, back to in its most original form is the best. Absolutely. It's processed because it's not a wheat berry. If we just cooked wheat berries, that's unprocessed. But it's still fine. I think processed foods, you know, I would say canned beans are a processed food because we didn't have to soak them and boil them and do all that stuff. So I think that's still a good food. But like you pointed out, they add a little salt to it. And so we want to get the unsalted whenever we can. So I like that study. It just pointed out another reason not to have the ultra processed foods. And then October is breast cancer month or breast cancer awareness month. So I just put up another little list of some of the things. I like Christy Funk. She's a doctor. She wrote a book all about, breast cancer or the breast. I can't remember, some cutesy name about the breast. But I follow her a lot, and she has this list of things, 4 ways to reduce breast cancer risk. And the first thing is plant-based foods. So eating fruits, veggies, whole grains, and beans, just like we always talk about. So not just avoiding the processed foods, though, avoiding processed meats, which have been shown to be a carcinogen, a cancer causer. So avoiding the processed meats like luncheon meats. So if you're still eating meat, that's fine. Everybody's in a different spot on their. See, I see you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Good food, it smells good.
Oh, well, go have some before you go.
I will.
Okay. So we want to try to avoid, I'm talking, in the little boxes, the luncheon meats, not what you get from the deli. Yes.
Years ago, I read in Germany and the northern countries, they eat a lot of processed sausages and eggs.
Right.
But they didn't have the colon cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And what they found is because they ate sauerkraut.
Oh, so the point has been brought up that like in Germany where they eat sausage, like it's going out of style, that they didn't have the higher risk of colon cancer because they ate a fermented food of sauerkraut with it. So that could somewhat protective, I suppose.
It did 2 things. The part of what made it sour, neutralized
Uh-huh.
the nitrosamines or whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
And so and then it also speeds up eliminating. Because when the stool sits in the body, it
Right.
absorbs all the nasty things
Mhm.
back into the system. So, if I eat a hot dog twice a year, I just try to have some sauerkraut.
Okay. So, and that's not a bad idea. I think not having the hot dog or sausage might be better, but when it's like I'm trying to think of a good example. If we ate a bunch of Cocoa Pebbles, but then put fruit on it, it's still Cocoa Pebbles. And sorry to those of you who love the Cocoa Pebbles, but I was raised on Cocoa Pebbles. But you do get some benefits from those foods. So the thing, and especially in our country, I don't know how they make sausage in Germany, but here it's all that stuff they swept up off the floor. You don't know what's in it. Yeah, you don't want to know. But maybe, I guess that's one way to think it. Have it with sauerkraut. Yeah.
You got one over real fast. Did you say that deli meats are not highly processed?
So if you go to the deli at your store and they have cooked a turkey breast and then they sliced that, it's going to be less processed than if you go get the Hillshire Farms turkey in the box, on the shelf. Yes.
Just as an aside, I went to Denmark and our tour guide said, we are known for having great sausage here, great pork, that we do a great job. And now we make most common insulin that gets out.
Oh, that is interesting. Okay. So on a trip to Denmark, she found out that they are known for all their sausage, but that's where they make some of the top selling insulins and diabetes medications. That is interesting. So that's the thing, when we're eating the sausage, high saturated fat clogs our cells. Now our own insulin doesn't work better. We end up developing type 2 diabetes, then end up on insulin possibly down the road. So that's a good correlation there. Let's see, other ways to reduce our breast cancer risk: exercise regularly like y'all are doing, and that helps with our immune system. Limit your alcohol, because alcohol tends to raise our estrogen level and it causes damage to our DNA. So limit our alcohol intake and maintain a healthy weight. The more fat cells we have, the more estrogen we make. So those were just some tips. I mean, of course, I want us to start with the top and choose, just like you do here, choose plant-based foods as much as possible, exercise regularly. Okay, so we talked a little bit about what's in season, about what we love. Anybody else? Some of you joined us afterwards. What do you love about the fall season? The weather, yes.
Makes things better.
Soups taste better. I know. Don't you just, are you just in the mood to make soups and pumpkin muffins and everything right now? Oh, yes. Yes. Rutabagas. You know, that's something I hardly ever cook. Rutabagas. I do love the root vegetables though. So that's actually a really great one.
Yeah, you can eat them raw.
You can? You can eat rutabagas raw. Okay. Yeah, would you? Yeah. But now we're, and pears are in season. John was just telling me they had pizza last night with pears and potatoes on the pizza, which that sounds really good. And pesto and onions. Okay. So these are things we're seeing in our farmers markets right now. A lot of these are what are in our little soupy dish today. Well, we've got, it called for butternut squash or sweet potato. And I went to Walmart yesterday and they did not have a butternut squash anywhere to be found. I don't know why. So we use sweet potato. And we use eggplant and we use onion, of course. Can't remember all, carrots, celery, the usual. Okay, so if we're going to be cooking our fall foods, what are some things that might help us? So who here has a crock pot? I have an Instapot now. Yeah, I got that Instapot, got rid of my crock pot, got rid of my rice cooker.
We had 2 dishes going.
Yes. Okay.
And that took too long, and then so the middle of the night she made oatmeal from the wife.
Oh, okay. So we have bean soup, we got oatmeal in the Instapot or crock pot.
Set up the oatmeal so that when it was ready when we woke up.
Uh-huh. That is great. It is. It's, I love cooking like in the crock pot to cook it at night, plug it in when you go to bed, get up in the morning, you got your food. And it smells so good. I love that. The pressure cooker or the Instant Pot. So if you don't have an Instant Pot, it's a combination of like all the cookers, a rice cooker, a pressure cooker, a crock pot. And I made some lentil soup last week and I had set it on high because I only had 4 hours to get ready for dinner. And I got home and those lentils were still hard. But the good thing about that is it was in my Instant Pot. So then all I had to do was pressure cook for 5 minutes and then it was totally fine. So I like that, having it all in one. The rice cooker too makes life easier. I don't know about you, but I never can cook rice on the stovetop very well. Never have been able to. It never comes out. So this cooks it perfectly every time. You know, with your fall foods or any foods year round, the blender or a Vitamix, you know, that just helps you to blend things. I don't know, it's not as much smoothie season, you know, when it gets cooler out, but if you like smoothies or nice cream or anything, that blender is nice. Pumpkin smoothie? Oh, that sounds fun. Okay. All right. Okay, so Kevin's saying he's got the Instant Pot and he steams his vegetables in it. And you know what? I have never done that. So mine comes with a little tray.
Right.
And you set the tray in there.
And sometimes if I want, we cook chicken in advance.
Uh-huh.
Piece of chicken and put there, it's frozen and then it'll be thawed out and ready to.
Yeah.
Rice.
Oh, that's good. I need to try that, cooking your vegetables in the Instant Pot. Who here uses a chopper? You just use a knife. I got a chopper. I got old Pampered Chef where you get all your aggressions out by pounding on it. I love that. But I use a knife.
It's many, many years ago, we had I can't remember what it was called, but you put it in there and just slam it down. And one time I caught part of myself.
Oh, no. You do have to be careful using these gadgets.
And I had to have an operation.
Seriously. Oh
So
my
just
God.
stand back far enough. But now they have the more modern ones.
Yeah.
But I loved it because you could just, you could just chop things up really fast.
Uh-huh. There are lots of cool choppers. There's that one, and this kind of sounds like what you're talking about. Like it's a box and you put something on it and just one down and it cuts your whole onion.
You see them advertised on TV.
Yeah.
You want one of those.
I know. They're nice. Well, so John says, where's the fun? And I agree. I like my chopping, but I'm not a great chopper. So, and those get your aggressions out. I don't know. I think a sheet pan is nice, especially for roasting those fall veggies, your rutabagas and your turnips and all of those. a sheet pan or cookie sheet is nice. I like a grill basket to when you're out on the grill and doing things like that. Just put everything in there like a grill wok. Veggie peeler is nice. I think excellent knife is key. You know, sometimes when we go travel, we'll stay at Airbnb and stuff. If we drive there, I'm starting to bring my own knife because sometimes those knives are hideous at those places.
What about air fryer?
Oh, you know, that's the only thing I don't have. So an air fryer. Yeah, that's what Paul's saying. I think that needs to go on my Christmas list. Who here loves the air fryer? Anybody? You do? Okay. What do you do with it, Ivan?
Usually I just chop up, sometimes tofu, sometimes potatoes, and then it just kind of cooks it so it's like crispy.
Okay, makes it
love
crispy.
crispies.
Okay, yeah, the crispy is so nice. What do you do with yours?
Vegetables are like chicken.
Okay, chicken or vegetables.
Do you add a lot of?
No,
No.
you don't have to add any, I understand. And it comes out crispy. Or like you could make like French fries by cutting your potatoes and putting them in there, and that makes them crispy, right? Yeah, that's nice. It is magic. And you know, we have here, I can't remember who makes it, but
I think it's Breville.
is it Breville? My sister has that one too. So you can do, it's a convection oven, or you hit a button and it's an air fryer. It's got other things on the list. I can't even think of what those are. It does a lot of stuff.
No microwave.
Oh, I personally, I use the microwave a lot. So you're right. I should add that to the list. I guess I assume everybody's got a microwave.
There's some people don't like it.
I know.
And I do potatoes, but I throw them in there because I don't want to wait.
Uh-huh. Me too. Yeah, I admire those people who don't want to use the microwave. I really don't understand why, but you know, they do everything old school. But yeah, I use the microwave. John, do you have a microwave?
I broke it
You did?
this
Oh,
weekend.
oh,
Have to get it in.
oh. Yeah, we've had some meals at home and my husband and I say, what would we ever do if we didn't have a microwave? Because they're just like reheating all this stuff.
And remember when they first came out and people said, oh, they're dangerous.
I
they're
know.
getting stuff to your food.
Yeah, I got one of those in 1975. This big, huge thing. And and it cost so much money, I'm sure, back then. It was super heavy,
You have
yes.
cooking schools for how to work with the microwave.
I had my microwave little cookbook. I was first married, and then I've been looking up how to make everything in my little microwave.
But you had to stand back so you don't get yourself.
That's right. Yeah, to stand back, you didn't want to get those microwaves. My how times have changed.
I have a friend who has a good garden.
Yes.
In Hopper, and she starts her day by picking fresh veggies, carrots, hearty stuff, onions, that sort of thing. She throws it into boiling pot of water, then she puts it in the Vitamix blender and adds a lot more vegetables and greens, and she has soup.
Uh-huh. Oh,
I can't believe it.
so that's a fun idea.
And smoked paprika and something else. Yeah.
So you can make soup and I've made a roast vegetable like soup. Like you have your sheet pan, you put all your root vegetables and whatnot in there, and then you put it in the blender and blend it up.
My problem is it has to taste good.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of us have that problem. It's got to taste good, so you got to spice it up.
So is the food processor basically an electric chopper?
Yes, it is. And so it's a food processor, an electric chopper. It is. And sometimes, like if I have onions or a recipe that's just got lots of things to cut, I'll do the food processor. It's just how much do I want to wash it afterwards? So
Exactly, that's my issue.
so that's all. I'll just cut them. Okay, so I just listed some fall foods, and then we'll talk about what's good or bad about them. So I think everybody here probably loves apples. That came up already. Apples are a good source of soluble fiber. That's the kind of fiber that's in oats that helps to lower your cholesterol. And it's got antioxidants, which we know help fight our oxidation, the things that can cause damage in our cells. And of course, we can do apples all kinds of ways. So I listed some. You all probably have more. So you can eat them raw, of course, as a snack. You can turn them into applesauce. Leave the skins on; they'll give it even a little more fiber. Baked apples. Anybody here like baked apples?
Oh, yeah,
Do you do them in the microwave?
I do.
Yeah, that's a good snack.
And then nuts and raisins.
Right. Do you core them first?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
So
core
there's
it.
space for it.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, so you core it, you stick it in a pan or a little microwave safe bowl. You put your raisins or nuts or cinnamon and pumpkin pie spice, of course.
You might score the peel because it doesn't break as easily.
Okay, score the peel. Okay, that's good, because sometimes they just,
Yeah.
because of the microwave, because it
No,
cooks
no,
from the inside out.
because the baked apple has cooked skin still. So you
Ah.
take one bite, and out comes half the apple.
Oh, okay, so score it so that when you take a bite, you just get a little piece of apple. That's a good idea. You can do that with pears too. You can do crisps, cobblers, buckles, all those things we talked about a couple weeks ago when we did a raspberry
Pies.
one. What?
Pies.
Pies? We could do pies, of course. Yes. We can throw our apples into salads. We can put them in soups and stews. Have you ever made a soup that has apple in it? What kind? Bean soup and it had apple in it.
No, it's like pork and beans extended.
Ah, okay. That's fun. Yes.
I got it from Lucus cookbook, it's called shrimp, yes.
Yes. Oh, okay. Interesting. I have my Moosewood cookbook. I'll have to look that up. Okay. All right. You can add them to oatmeal. You can just chop up a little apple, put it in the bowl, put your microwave, or I microwave my stuff, and you put your oatmeal on it, your liquid, cook it, and now you got a great oatmeal. You can even do that with those apples that aren't so pretty, and you think, this is kind of wrinkly on the outside. I don't want to eat it, but it's going to be perfect for your oatmeal. Yes.
You put apples and onions in the bottom of a crock pot and a pork roast on top.
Yes.
And then you just do it with a little bit of apple juice or something.
Okay.
and Cook it in the crock pot.
Okay. So that's one way to do it too. So, I mean, we're trying not to eat the pork here so much. So what would we put on top of it? Because she's saying apples and onions on the base of your crock pot, and then you put something on top.
Well, what tenderloin, is that any more fatty than a chicken breast?
Yeah. Yeah. It probably not too much more. Like you said, all meats are kind of high in fat. So we're trying to go more plants. So I'm hearing jackfruit, I'm seitan, soy curls. We might be able to do those kind of things. What? Tofu? I wonder if you could just put a block of tofu on there. What would happen?
The outside one is really good.
You're going, yuck, I wouldn't eat it. Okay. You're right. Okay, I'm gonna try that before I come back next time.
And also use apples in the sauce as an egg replacement.
Oh, like applesauce. That's good point. Thank you. So you're as an egg replacer. So, or a fat replacer. So you're making muffins
Right.
and it calls for half a stick of butter. You put applesauce in there instead. Too. So there's loads of apples. I'm a pink lady girl myself, which didn't even make this list. I know that's how old it is. You're right. I need a new list. So what's your favorite kind of apple? Sugar crisp. So is it sugar crisp or honey crisp? Or are they two?
She says it's honey.
Okay, honey crisp. Okay.
Fiji, but you know, I was in Singapore when I had my first Fiji apple, which is fairly close to Fiji, and they were wonderful.
Oh,
I come back here and they're not as good.
yeah. Oh, so Fuji or Fiji.
Yeah.
All right.
Still tasty apples, in my opinion.
I think they are too. I like them. What else we got? There's all these new ones. They are always coming out with new ones.
Golden delicious, is that on there?
Golden Delicious is there. Yeah. The Granny Smith.
Granny Smith is, if I were doing pies, it would be Granny.
Granny Smith. I agree.
And
They're
rolls.
slightly tart, right?
Yes, they are kind of tart.
Cookbooks recommend Golden Delicious.
Oh, Golden Delicious for pies. Okay. You know, one thing I don't love is the Red Delicious.
That's often soft.
It is. It's soft and mushy on the inside.
They're pretty.
Yeah, they are very pretty. You're right. They are. And we do eat with our eyes.
Like wine sap.
Apple Hills,
Wine sass?
Wine sap.
Sap. Wine sap.
Apple Hills in full swing right now, by the way.
Yes. We need to go see what apples they got this year. Okay. No, don't ever go on the weekend. You're right. Okay, so what about winter squash? So winter squash is different than summer squash, like zucchini, yellow squash, because it has this thick skin. And usually you still grow it in the summer and you pick it, but it lasts you all winter long. So it's high in fiber. You see the orange skin is vitamin A and C. I mean, the orange flesh, antioxidants. You can do a lot of things with them. They're usually pretty cheap. And of course, they're really pretty. So what's your favorite on the winter squash?
Better.
Butternut, love the butternut. Kabocha, which is one I don't cook with that much. Okay. What else?
I like the pumpkin.
Pumpkin. Okay.
Acorn squash, it's hard to cut.
Mixed soup. You know, and that is the thing with that thick skin.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's hard to cut them.
Safely.
Yeah, you don't feel safe. You're right. I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to lose a finger or
There's
anything.
tons of pumpkin recipes, which makes them.
Yeah, yeah. And you can cook.
That's
it
true.
too And put it in a pumpkin and bake it.
Yes.
Pumpkin's edible. And I also cook the seeds of squash.
Okay, that's
Anything
good.
Like the pumpkin seeds.
Okay, so what we're hearing here, you guys out there, is you could take your pumpkin and cook a stew in it, or I have a recipe that's like a stuffing, and then when you use that as your bowl, so then when you dig it up, you also are getting the flesh of the pumpkin.
Well, you know, in terms of the skin being tough, I can't cut them anymore. But I found a way to cook them. You just take a fork and bake, you know, prick the thing
Uh-huh.
and bake it whole.
Right. So you don't necessarily have to cut it. You could just poke it a little bit and then cook it whole, and then it's softer, and then you could cook it. Sometimes I do that too, like with my butternut squash. I throw it in the microwave for a second, and then a few minutes, and that softens it up. Okay, so what's number one?
Wow,
Yeah.
looks like number 11.
It doesn't look like a kabocha.
It's telling me it's a kabocha.
11 looks more like a kabocha.
Okay. What's number two? So that's our butternut. Number three, it's our little sugar pumpkin.
Oh,
And number four, which I love, it's a little dumpling. So it's just like a little baby pumpkin or squash.
totally edible.
And yeah, totally edible. You can eat the skin even. You just slice it up in little wedges, roast it. You can eat it all, which was new to me over the last few years. I never thought you could eat the skin. So the skin gets soft and it's fine. Number five is our regular pumpkin, like our jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. Number six, not unlike our little dumpling, it's called a carnival. A carnival. But you can eat it the same way. What's number seven? That's our spaghetti squash. So this is one that you are going to eat the flesh and it makes little strings. So you would maybe cut it in half, or you could just cook it whole, then cut it in half. And then you take your fork tines and go along the flesh and it'll make little spaghetti scraps. Yeah, you got to take the seeds out. You're right. You're right. And what's number eight? Oh. Right. You can't really appreciate it in the picture. It's called a blue Hubbard. Usually they're really big. They're really big. Yeah.
You can stick them on your doorstep.
Yeah, they do. You're right. What's number nine? One of my favorites there too.
Banana squash.
No.
It's a-
Delicata. We got to learn all our winter squash every fall. So delicata, excellent too. You slice it, you stuff it, you can cut it and eat the skin if you want. Really good. Number 10, they're telling me it's a curry. K-U-R-I. Curry. 11, you're thinking kabocha. I don't think I ever knew because I have here, it's a buttercup with a question mark. So I'm not sure. And number 12, another one of my favorites, acorn. Excellent to eat the flesh. Excellent to, you can peel that one too, or not peel it, slice it into wedges and just eat it. You can stuff it.
Question.
Yes.
There is a squash that's sort of two-tiered, has a little bump.
Mhm.
And somebody told me they are delicious if you can really put different ones.
Is that the turban?
It looked like a turban.
It's like a turban. It's got,
Yeah,
it's
you're
like
right.
two-tiered.
You're right, and it's different colors.
And I've never branched out and tried
Yeah,
one.
it's
So,
different from the other squash. It's very, I thought it's delicious.
so it's good. I'm going to try that. I have a lot of things to try before I see you next.
One nice thing about squash is very easy to grow. So if
Yes.
you have a yard, you could get squash bugs, but I grew a wealth of butternut from my compost.
Uh-huh.
It just came up from.
It just came up from your compost. She grew a squash just from her compost.
It looked really weird. It looked like something from outer space.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, well, I've got to see what this does. And I had welcome butternut squash all winter, all winter long. I just put it in my pool garage.
Yeah,
in the
that's
cabin.
excellent. Okay, so we could try growing these things. Very nice. Okay, so there's all my names.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, it's a bonbon. A bonbon was that one I didn't know. And that's a green kabocha.
Is there
Okay.
another color for both?
I would suspect there is, judging by that. Oh, red. Okay, so the next one that I thought actually,
Oh, there you go.
it seems like my notes might have been wrong. My notes to me, it was a red kabocha and a green kabocha. Okay. There's lots of new things to try. And you know, I tend to go for the same things. I go for my butternut squash or my acorn or those little cute ones I like, but I gotta branch out this year. Okay, I'm vowing to you, I'll branch out. And this is just to show you what they look like on the inside. And there's your one, your turban one down on the bottom right.
Very good. Yeah. So how long does it, do we talk about storage? Because I tend to keep those forever.
I think you can keep them all winter usually. Yes.
It can get kind of starchy though.
Do they get starchier as they get older?
Yeah, if you wait too long, like if you wait till Easter,
Uh-huh.
compost.
Okay. Okay. So what do you think if we wait till St. Patrick's Day?
For Halloween.
Or you start at Halloween and try to get through Valentine's Day. I don't know.
Valentine's Day might be your best bet. And it feels away.
So squash are versatile and it depends on the squash you get. But here's just to show that spaghetti squash. So you can roast your squash. So you got your sheet pan, you cut them up, you put them there. You can grill it. Sometimes we forget you can throw them on the grill. You can stuff it. A lot of them lend themselves to stuffing, including the pumpkin. You can chop it to put into soups and stews. You could puree it. You could puree some of those. And you could also scrape it. Like there's our spaghetti squash. So, and you wouldn't even have to cut it in half. You could just cook it in the microwave or the oven whole, and then you can cut it in half better. And then you take away the seeds and scrape it out. Yes.
I just have a question, what would you stuff it with? What's a good plant-based stuffing? I always think of bread, and so it's not.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, when I've made the spaghetti squash, I have several recipes that are more like an Italian-y, almost like pasta sauce with a bunch of veg, like what we made today, and you stuffed it in that.
I put ratatouille over mine.
Ratatouille, there you go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it doesn't, I see what you're saying when I say stuffing, you think bread stuffing.
Yeah.
So that would be awesome too. But yeah, if you look for just stuffed spaghetti squash, they come up with all kinds of different things. But I tend to go Italian-y.
I like pasta.
Yeah. And then the butternut squash, I just put this picture because sometimes we're a bit afraid of it. And you know, it's too bad they used one here that wasn't, usually they're thinner and then they come out to a bulb at the bottom, which lends itself to you cut it at that line where it becomes a bulb. You can microwave it for a couple minutes first so it gets soft enough. And then I usually cut it and then I peel my separate halves. So there we peeled it and then we cut it there at that spot. Then we're going to cut those in half and you're going to scrape out your seeds. And like you said, you roast your seeds. And so you keep those. That's a great idea. I've never had really good luck with that. So I admire people who do.
Sometimes you oil the seeds, sometimes you don't.
Uh-huh.
I just add some bit of salt.
Yeah. Okay. And how long do you cook it?
Got a lot of fiber.
Yeah.
You just look at it when it turns brown, take it out. Yeah, I mean, don't let it get brown, I guess.
Don't let it get brown. You know, and I think when we're trying to have less waste generally in our world, this is a great way. You're throwing away food when you throw away the seeds, just like when you don't zest your lemons, you know, and use that. That's food too. So we scooped that out, then we sliced them into little wedges, and then you slice those wedges the other way, and then you can chop. Now,
Buy them in the store.
that's what that's what I was just gonna say.
Couldn't find plain. They all had a cinnamon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I didn't want that, but,
Okay.
and I normally wouldn't spend the extra money.
Uh-huh.
But I wanted it like now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can buy these already chopped up. You can buy them in the frozen section. You can find them in the fresh produce section too. But that's a good point. I didn't know they added things to them. So make sure that they're
I
not
was
season.
disappointed because
Yeah.
I bought them because I really wanted them and I rinsed them all.
Oh,
So
That's the
that
other
was the only thing.
yeah. So when I say that squash is cheap, it's cheaper when you do all the cutting yourself. So, but sometimes it's totally worth it to have somebody else do that.
Do they put stuff on it though? Like, is it like lemon juice or something to keep it from oxidizing? You know, once it's chopped?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
they don't put- they-
Yeah,
well, that's-
they don't look like it. No, they don't taste like it. Yeah. So then year round, we've got greens luckily, but they are big in this time of year in the fall. And we know we want to eat greens, try to have greens every day. They help with weight loss. They make you feel more full. They've got folate, iron, what else? Vitamin A and C. Oh, and iron again. They really double on the iron. So what's your favorite green? Arugula, and that's my least favorite. Okay, and it didn't even make my list here because I don't even like it. But arugula is a good one. Okay, what else? Collards? Okay, all right.
You want me to, go over to the farmer's market and let me know so we can make a dish next time?
Oh yeah, that would be fun. Okay, thanks. What else? What else do you like?
I like kale.
Kale. I love kale and chard. Those are my favorites. And kale chips. Okay, that's a good one.
Beet greens are good.
Beet greens are so excellent. Yes. Again, another example of don't throw your food away. You eat the bottom and eat the top.
I try to eat beet greens and they always taste like dirt to me.
Oh, really?
I don't know if I'm getting the wrong kind of beans or what, but I always try later because I know you're tasting things.
Yeah.
And I think, do they have a lot of iron in them? Is that what I'm tasting?
I don't know. They have a lot of antioxidants. I don't know if they have more iron than spinach.
They look like they'd be really good for you and I.
They are.
Well,
Yeah.
it depends on if there's. I sent you a recipe of one with bulgur and tomatoes,
Uh-huh.
and onions, and
Yeah.
it's what you put them against when you cook them.
Okay, so that's a good point. So it's what you mix them up with, or when I cook greens too, I always add some vinegar or balsamic vinegar or something to it, and that might help
Yeah.
jazz it up a little bit.
Well, spinach needs the lemon, because otherwise you don't get the calcium.
What about rhubarb? Now, I
You don't want
understand
not the greens.
The poison.
They're poison. John has taught me that.
the rhubarb, the whole rhubarb is?
No,
is
the green.
The greens of rhubarb are toxic.
Oh, I thought it was the stem that was toxic.
No,
No, the stem is what makes a really good pie.
Oh, that's right, the strawberry rhubarb.
But it's hard to eat raw, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think so.
not for
Yeah,
me.
Not for
As
you?
a little kid, my brothers and I raided our neighbor's garden
Uh-huh.
periodically, and someone could get raw.
The raw rhubarb.
Oh
Oh,
my goodness.
but don't eat the raw greens, whatever you do.
No.
John has taught me that over the years.
Can
Yes.
Go back to the squash for a second. We don't
Yes.
go to the squash.
Oh, okay.
Is winter squash the same thing, or is it totally different?
Winter squash as a group.
Compared to fall squash? I mean, is it one and the same? or-
Yeah, they're one and the
Oh,
same.
okay.
They call it the fall squash. Maybe because you pick it or harvest in the fall and then it lasts through the winter.
Right.
Yeah, they're the same thing. Okay, here's our beets. You know, 2 veggies in one. So you got the beet, the root, and then you got the greens. Who here likes beets?
I'll be right
I
back.
love beets.
I hate beets.
See, people, yeah, it's a love or hate thing. A lot of people, the beets taste like dirt. So, but I love beets. You can eat them raw. You just grate them and turn them into a little salad. Then you put your vinegar or your lemon juice and things on them. You can roast them. You can microwave them. Yes.
The last time I'll talk, I promise.
No, you keep talking.
If you're not used to eating beets that you cooked yourself, the first time you use the restroom, you will think you have your lungs high because you look like you're bleeding to death.
You are right. That is so true. So she's just reminding us that if you haven't had beets before, well, especially fresh beets, I don't know if it happens with canned beets. Maybe it does. I don't know. I grew up on canned beets, but your pee will turn red. And once I stayed at this weird little Zen place, my sister and I, and they had beets the night before. And in the morning, everybody was saying, that they thought they were bleeding and they weren't. They just had beets.
It looks just like blood.
It does. It does. That's funny. Thanks for bringing that up because I always forget to mention that. If it's your first beet, you don't know.
Is it one of these or just even a little bit?
It's more than a casual walk.
Yeah, more than just a little bit.
My brother did that in Switzerland.
Yeah.
They rushed him to an emergency. room
Oh, no.
30 miles away.
Everybody's got their beet story.
Yeah.
Oh. Now with our beets, you can do soups and stews. You can do red. I love the golden beets, or that other one, was it Tioga? Is that how you say that? The with the
Those
little
beets,
pretty
right?
stripes?
I guess, again, I can stop now.
Really?
Oh.
Okay, I reached Scott because I didn't want him hanging.
Let me just.
Are
Yeah.
you leaving us? Brussels sprouts. Who here's a Brussels sprout lover? Another thing that people love or hate. If they're, yeah, you are right. Because I would say, like, I don't know. I grew up on the frozen Brussels sprouts, which were not great. Your mom boiled them, right? And so when you get fresh Brussels sprouts and you cook them just right, you roast them. They're so good for you. You could grill them, you can shred them, you can put them in salads and eat them raw. You can put them, you do them in the Instant Pot? Okay, so how long do you do them in the Instant Pot?
I make I set it up to cook a cup of rice.
Okay.
and I put a little tray on, and then I cover that with Brussels sprouts, and then it's all done at the same time.
So you have the rice at the bottom, you put the tray on, you set Brussels on top, and in the time, all that, they don't get too mushy or anything?
No.
Oh, I'm gonna try that too. Gosh, I have to make a list of all the things I have to try.
Lay them down,
Okay,
big snap.
uh-huh, okay. Then I'm gonna try it. Oh, that sounds so fun. Okay, I'm a roaster of the Brussels myself.
Somehow, I like a little soy sauce on mine.
Yeah. Okay, little soy sauce. You heard it here first. Yeah. So lots of things we can do the Brussels. Then you got your root veggies. Here's that rutabaga. Turnip, rutabaga, parsnip, celeriac, which is celery root. All excellent. I love to roast these. See that pretty little picture? That might even be my picture of stuff that I made. So these are ugly on the outside, but you cut them up and they're so good. Yes. And this is one that I have roasted them, thrown them in the blender, and then made a little soup out of them too. Yes. Yeah.
They're very delicious, but then sometimes when I cook them, they're just really bitter.
I think roasting them brings out a better flavor than if you just boiled it or microwaved them. But I don't know, John, you're my expert.
I don't know, it might be that it caramelizes something that's causing
Uh-huh.
the bitterness. Because that happens with quinoa.
Yeah.
When you toast the quinoa, the bitterness on the outside disappears.
Uh-huh.
So it could be that that's the same.
Okay, so roasting just might change it up to taste a little better.
Sometimes I'll throw in like nuts, and it'll get nuttier.
Uh-huh.
The bitterness.
Okay, throwing in some nuts.
So,
That's a good
yeah,
idea.
so basically cooking the nuts at the same time.
Uh-huh.
And kind of intermixes them.
Okay.
That's my
Gets rid of the
Thanksgiving.
bitterness.
Thanksgiving.
My Thanksgiving meal is Brussels sprouts with nuts and squash and dried cranberries.
Okay.
You roast the squash and the Brussels sprouts together, then throw the other two at the very end,
Yeah.
and a little balsamic vinegar, and you've got serious meal.
Yum. Okay, so we got to roast those Brussels for Thanksgiving too. All right. So I encourage you to branch out and try try some new winter squash this year. Try some new root vegetables. It's a root, but it's I don't think so. Well, it is a vegetable because it's a plant, but it's more of a not one that you just eat. What do you call that? It's like a spice. I guess it's a spice. Condiment. So what do you do with those root veggies? You roast them, you chop them, you throw them in your soups and stews, you saute them, you puree them, you grill them. Does anybody have a root vegetable that you puree that's kind of your family tradition for Thanksgiving?
Oh,
What?
Mashed potatoes, my mom always added rutabaga to it.
Okay, so one of my family friends, they always do parsnips. To me, that's a good introductory to the root vegetable because parsnips are they're like big white carrots and they're a little, I don't know, bland or almost sweet.
And you can, roast parsnips too.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Right, you can roast them. So mixing them up with your mashed potatoes at Thanksgiving, excellent idea. Okay, so let's go. Oh, I have a few more minutes. 10 ways to eat more fall foods. Okay, try that baked apple for dessert. You have a hankering for something? Make your baked apple. Core it, fill it, cover it in the microwave for 5 minutes. You could wilt greens just in your pan. So just add greens to any meal. I mean, some greens need to cook a little longer, like I feel like kale, I want it to hold up a little bit. So still just a couple minutes is fine, but spinach, 2 minutes and it's just limp and nothing. So just wilt it for a little bit, toss it with some garlic, maybe some lemon juice or vinegar. You got a meal. Try your beet salad for one, where you just grate a beet, which sounds weird to eat raw beets, but when you grate it and add some of that vinegar, a little mustard, a little garlic, you got a nice little salad. Here's our soup, where you're just going to throw in some greens and winter squash into any of your favorite soup recipes. Use spaghetti squash and then top it with your sauce. So you treat it like spaghetti, top it with whatever sauce you have. Poached pears, which I love in the Instapot. Poached pears with some red wine in there and throw a little sugar and cinnamon. So good. Here's, you can stuff your winter squash. So this one, speaking of stuff, so when I told you about how I do kind of an Italian with the spaghetti squash, with my acorn squash, this is one of my favorite recipes. So you have your diced apple and some dried apricots and orange peel and a few little, top it with walnuts. You stuff your acorn squash with that. It's one of my favorites. And then you could roast up any of your veggies or winter squash on a cookie sheet, 425, about 20 minutes. Make your homemade applesauce. Who here loves homemade applesauce? I do. Every time I make it, it's like so special because it's so much better. Make a salad, top it with all your fruits and veggies. So to get more. So here's our challenge. Can you get, because this is just another way to add more fruits and veggies to our day. So aim for 2 cups of veggies at lunch and dinner. Can we do it? I love it. Okay, that could be one challenge. Yeah, 4 cups in a day. That is a lot. I know. When you eat that much, you don't have room for anything else. Eat what's in season. So try a new fall fruit or veggie instead of getting the things that they fly in from Chile that we ate all summer. Try to buy local when you can, although sometimes that can be a little more expensive, I know. So choose organic when you can. I like that Dr. Greger, for those of you who are listening, when he talked with us last week, was saying it's better to eat an extra fruit or vegetable in your day than to have to buy organic. So even if it's not organic, it's okay. Support your farmers markets. CSA is a community supported agriculture, where you kind of make a deal with a farm and they send you a box of whatever they grew. In the winter, just to brace yourself, you're going to get a lot of greens, more greens than you ever knew what to do with. But that's how I learned to cook greens. And the benefit of all this, the fall food or plants or just plants in general, heart healthy, help with weight loss, help with our diabetes. And, you know, it tastes really good. And if it doesn't, let us know and we'll give you some ideas on how to make it taste good. So I don't know, I saw this somewhere, maybe on Pinterest or something, and they had this fun little list of things to do in fall. And so I just encourage you to think of some things you love to do in the fall. Some of these are kind of silly, but, you know, go to Apple Hill, go to the farmer's market, try a new vegetable, try a different kind of apple. Just fun little things. What else do they have on here? Hot chocolate, bake, which is really fun. Go to a haunted house. Who likes haunted houses? I haven't been to one in years. I don't know if I even like them. Hayride, you can do that up at Apple Hill.
We have a student this semester, Stephanie, who works at Apple Hill.
Fun. Oh, that must be a fun job. Well, it depends on what she gets to do. Okay, I threw this in, I think last time I did this because Linda had mentioned something about sorghum to me. This is an ancient grain. Who here has ever eat sorghum? You guys do. Where do you get it?
Got it at the co-op, but I started out Amazon.
Amazon, yeah. I couldn't find it. I remember last time trying to find it. East Coast. Yeah, it's one of those grains that when you look on here, it says like excellent source of all these good things, fiber and nutrients and everything. And it like checks all the boxes pretty much. It's not that any of these other ones are horrible, but
Does it have another name that might be more familiar?
I don't think so. No, it's one that we're not that familiar with.
Well, it's supposed to be very good for you.
It's supposed to be good for you and good for the environment because it's one of those that can be grown in drought conditions and stuff.
Usually used for animal feed.
Yeah, there you go. And it's to me it's just like the other ones, like barley or farro, or I don't really notice the distinction in different tastes that much, but
It'll cook like barley, and I like to think of it as almost a couscous type.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, so it's good.
My daughter tried to substitute some sort of oatmeal.
Yeah.
and it-
Oh. But you know, that's a good idea to do with your grains, is to try different grains instead of oatmeal in the morning and see how you like it. I will do quinoa sometimes, or barley I love. Today with our little soup, I made couscous, which is the easiest grain in the world because you just add boiling water and let it sit for like 5 minutes.
Anything else called broom corn?
Called what?
Broom corn?
I have no idea. Broom corn? Never heard of it.
No, for that.
For the sorghum? Oh, I have no idea. Did you find that online?
That sound right, Diane?
I don't think it was that. I think I was thinking maybe millet.
Oh, it's yeah, it's not it's not like millet. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, yes.
They use sorghum mostly for brewing beer.
Oh,
They use it for alcohol.
oh, interesting. See, I always think that's barley. Yeah.
They use sorghum too.
Oh, and where are you from?
Certain types of alcohol.
Uh-huh.
I think barley is used for beers, like regular beer.
Right.
But we have a local drink that's made from highly fermented, so it's lots of alcohol, and they use sorghum.
Interesting. And where is that you're from?
Taste it, though. I guess that's what sorghum tastes like. It doesn't.
That's why you got to ferment it so you can drink beer, get past that taste. So where are you from?
Well,
Zimbabwe. Oh, that's so interesting. So they turn that sorghum into alcohol. All right.
but we're not gonna find any in your house, is that?
Some of this great millet is also sorghum, so I think.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So I haven't found this, that sorghum is also great millet. Maybe that's why you're thinking millet.
Oh,
It's also called great millet and broom corn.
I think that's what I.
Interesting. See, you guys teach me so
It
much.
tastes good though, millet does.
Okay. Thank you.
We just don't eat enough of the varieties of
Uh-huh.
things. There's a guy that used to be on TV, Jeff Brand.
Uh-huh.
And he did a show every week on a grain, and there were so many grains.
There are, and we all always stick with the same brown rice and oats. You're right. So, okay, let that be our challenge. Let's try a new grain before we see you again. Uh-huh. I got a long list of things to try too. And at the end of the month on Halloween, are we dressing up for Halloween, Linda?
You are.
John, we'll have to coordinate our costumes. John and I are going to do some kind of a demonstration of something, which remains to be seen.
I'm thinking you should make some poached pears.
Those poached pears are so good. Yeah. Okay, I'll do that. That's a great idea.
Something savory. Then I'll eat.
So thank you, everybody. Sorry, I went a little long. So thank you, and just enjoy the fall.
So did you talk about cauliflower at all? That's not a fall food, but.
I didn't, but I love cauliflower.
Well, I was thinking of it with the mashed potatoes.
You could totally, you're right. You can puree the cauliflower. It's a good substitute, or throw it in with your potatoes.
What about persimmons? I didn't.
Oh, thank you. I love persimmons. Yes.
Oh,
That's a good fall food. I can't wait till we see the persimmons and the mandarins.
And pomegranate.
And pomegranates, you know, I always forget about the pomegranates. You're right. I see them in our neighborhood on people's trees. They're getting red. Mm-hmm.
spot two.
You did.
I'm not sure where they're gonna be, but they'll be gone by next week.
Okay. So thanks,
Pomegranates.
everybody.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
pomegranates are better if you score them a bit and then you can peel them off.
That is
It's
right.
tricky, or you do it under running water so you don't get scored.
I put them down in a bowl.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you score the
It's a
edge,
little tricky.
dump in a bowl and pop that open. You're right.
When you have them in sieging, I don't know, cheese or whatever.
I
you
know,
do,
and
it's
then
nice.
You could just even just
Salad.
seed so many of them and have those little seeds in the freezer that you can sprinkle on things
You can buy them at Trader Joe's and a little.
that are, or you could do that. You're right.
Um,
Yes. Uh,
it's really-
okay.
lot of their snacks now, because they're done and offer quite a bit of more vegan products,
Uh-huh.
are made from grains or vegetable base.
Okay.
Flour,
Yeah.
but I really look for it. Before our entire day, we were selling that way.
The cauliflower pizza crust at, well, I know they have it at Costco and they probably have it at Trader Joe's and Rayleigh's now. So, okay.
It's all vegan.
Yep. I love that.
Processed food can be excellent.
Yeah, a processed food can be good. You have to, just beware.
Don't trust them.
John's not very trusting, but okay. All right, so thank you. Thank you to the people who came in online. Enjoy fall. And we'll see you on Halloween, where apparently John and I will be dressing up.
Not me.
That's the next thing we do.
That's the next thing. Yeah, I'm gonna be out of town for a little bit. So I'm saying bye to you guys.
That'll be it.
That'll be it.